D Hunter of the Dead has one of the most recognizable armor sets in all the lands between. While some Tarnished may choose to kill him immediately to get the twinned armor set, he does have a questline with an interesting story to follow and a unique weapon reward at the end. So let's hunt down those who live in death in the name of the Golden Order as we complete D's questline. Quick heads up, if you've already gained access to the Roundtable hold, D might be sitting there for your introduction. And if you've chosen to kill D already and take his armor for yourself, just use the chapter marked for you below. Oh, and thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe to support the channel, and click that bell so you can keep up with all my Elden Ring content. And with the new DLC coming this June, I have a lot to catch up on. We can first meet D mourning over a corpse in the far east of Limgrave, just across the Saints Bridge and beyond a graveyard. He'll introduce himself and warn us not to continue towards the village, as there's a mariner that's taken residence there. Ignoring his warning, we'll continue forward to the Summonwater village site of Grace, and into the village to face off against the Tibia Mariner. Once you've sunk his battleship, you'll receive a Deathroot as well as the Skeletal Militiaman Spirit Ashes. The Skeletal Militiaman Spirit Ashes will cost 44 FP to summon 2 Skeletal Militiamen that revive just like normal skeletons. Of course, unless they're hit while reconstructing. Unfortunately, their damage output is rather poor, so aside from the utility of pulling aggro for you, these guys won't be able to do much for most boss fights. With the village cleared, we can find D to the west near a large dead tree. After calling you a fool, he offers a proposal, tempting us with the strength of beasts to continue hunting down more Deathroot. Asking us to deliver the Deathroot we obtained to Gurranq, we'll accept his invitation and receive the location of a portal marked on our map. We can find the portal to the Bestial Sanctum nearby the Third Church of Marika, in the bushes to the northeast through the water. The sanctum itself is in the far northeast of Caelid, and after opening the door and grabbing the grace, we can head forward to meet Gurranq the Beast Clergyman, who hungers for Deathroot. I will have a quest video coming soon on Gurranq, with the location of all Deathroot and a rundown of the rewards he offers, but for now, just our one Deathroot will suffice, and we can continue with D's quest. The next step will be to visit him at the Roundtable hold. If you didn't previously have access, claiming the grace at the Bestial Sanctum will trigger your invitation. Accepting and allowing Melina to guide you, we can speak with D at the Table of Lost Grace. Claiming you as a comrade in arms against those who live in death, he'll tell you more about himself and his allegiance to the Golden Order, and offer to teach you some incantations as well. D will sell us Litany of Proper Death and Order's Blade, both of which, to no surprise, are Golden Order incantations. Litany of Proper Death will require 17 intelligence and 17 faith, costing 17 FP to cast, sending a pulsing wave forward dealing holy damage. When used on normal foes, this damage is atrocious and not worth wasting FP on. But on those who live in death, especially skeletons, this excels. This incantation also has the added benefit of preventing the revival of those who live in death when they're killed by it. The range this affects is also really impressive, allowing you to keep a safe distance away and potentially even behind cover while casting. And since it's a damage dealing incantation, it can be boosted by using the Golden Order seal, granting a 10% damage increase. It is worth noting that for some reason, this is entirely ineffective against Tibia Mariners, dealing damage to them as if they were just a normal foe. Although it's not useful in most situations, if you find yourself in a dungeon with skeletons, Litany of Proper Death is a solid option to help clear your way. D's second incantation available is Order's Blade, which will require 13 intelligence and 13 faith, costing 22 FP to cast. Imbuing your right hand weapon, you gain a 90-second buff that grants holy damage based on the faith portion of your incantation scaling. During the buff's duration, your weapon will also deal double damage to those who live in death, as well as prevent skeletons from reviving when slain. Similar to Litany of Proper Death though, none of the undead damage boosts will register when used against Tibia Mariners. For any Tarnished using a high faith build, this incantation should definitely have a place in your toolkit. It is worth noting that at this point, if you've progressed Rajier's questline and talked with him about D, you can then speak with D about Rajier and gain some history and lore on these two once friends that have grown apart due to changing beliefs and Deathblight. While there are no item-based rewards, the history and character development is definitely worth it nonetheless. To move D's quest along, you'll have to either defeat General Radahn or rest at a site of grace in Altus Plateau. Once visiting the Roundtable hold after doing either of those, we'll head over to Fia, found in the room to the far east beyond Hugh and Rodrika. Speak with her and be held, exhausting her dialogue until you receive the option, "May I ask a favor?" Giving us the weathered dagger, she'll ask us to find its owner. Turns out its owner, or at least the person who knows its owner, is D, Hunter of the Dead. Returning it to him, you'll seem curious as to how we had it in our possession, but take it and promise to return it to its owner regardless. Reloading the area, D will no longer be sitting at the Table of Lost Grace. Instead, a new door will be opened to the north of Hugh and Rodrika. Inside, we can find Fia kneeling beside D, who's now dead and desecrated by Deathblight. After speaking with Fia and her disappearing, we can loot D's bell bearing and the twinned armor set from his corpse. Now believe it or not, this isn't actually where D's quest ends. The final part of his quest can be initiated after defeating General Radahn, gaining access to the Eternal City of Nulkrun. Once you've progressed through the crater beyond the Mimic Tier, you can find the ancestral woods site of grace near a cliffside to the west overlooking the city. From here, we can head north-northeast beyond the ruins and into the trees, passing some spirit jellyfish. At the cliffside, jump down to the north and continue through to find the aqueduct-facing cliffs site of grace. From the Grace, jump down and go north through the building to find a new NPC surrounded by black flowers and golden centipedes. Speaking with him initially will reward us with the Inner Order gesture. If we check our map, we can see him referred to as D, Beholder of Death. But if you've killed D in Limgrave, you'll know his real name is actually Devon. Going back to Rajier for a moment, if you spoke with him about D before he eventually dies on the balcony, he'll leave behind a letter alluding to the existence of D's brother, as well as his whereabouts. If you killed D for his armor back in Limgrave, this is where the quest will pick up for you. For all Tarnished regardless though, before we speak with D's twin again, you'll need to make sure that the twinned set is in your inventory, not equipped, and is not altered from the sewing kit or Bach. With the armor in hand, we can return to D, Beholder of Death, and give him the set. In response, he'll choke out his brother's name and become available as a summon against the twin valiant gargoyles located just up the steps to the northwest. If you've killed D in Limgrave on the other hand, once you reload the area and approach his twin, he'll become hostile and attack. This technically is a skip to get the twin set back and gain his quest reward a bit early, but for the sake of completion and lore, I'll be going over the rewards at the very end. The final step for D's quest is actually to complete Fia's questline. I will give a quick rundown of where to go and what to do to move her quest along in this video, but if you'd like to complete Fia's quest in its entirety, or just want a more in-depth explanation, I do have a walkthrough video covering everything in her questline, and I'll have a link to it in the description below. Heading up the steps near D's twin and defeating the twin valiant gargoyles, you can gain access to the Great Waterfall Basin site of grace, and a portal to the Deathroot depths. This zone technically has 2 entrance points, but since the other option requires us to delve deep into the subterranean shunning grounds under Lanedell, your best bet's to use the coffin found to the northwest of the Great Waterfall Basin site of grace, and take a float on up. From the Great Waterfall Crest site of grace, we'll go west across the roots, then take a turn north under some other routes to avoid fighting the bugs, and travel through the water towards a gazebo, where you can loot the zone map, then go west beyond the Headless Mausoleum soldiers to find the nameless Eternal City Site of Grace. From here, we have to navigate up to the cliffside overlooking the crumbled city, so we'll go east up the routes behind the broken statue spitting at you, and follow that route up until you can jump to another route heading northeast. But be sure to keep moving and dash beyond the enemy sitting ahead of you. If you survive, you can rest at the Across the Routes Site of Grace. From here, we can go north through the open arena of Death, Blight, and Flies to approach the grotesque corpse and be met with a 3-phase boss fight. Spawning from a black cloud, we'll face one of Fia's champions, and once defeated, a second cloud will spawn, summoning Sorcerer Rajier this time. Defeating our former friend, 3 black clouds will appear for this final phase, summoning Lionel the Lionhearted and 2 more of Fia's champions. It is worth noting that if playing online, Fia's champions will have a loadout chosen at random from any tarnish that has been held by Fia while playing online, so good luck. Once defeated, you'll receive the sorcery Fia's Mist. I'm not going to go over this sorcery as much as I covered it in my Fia quest video, but basically for PvE players, this is a useless spell, as Deathblight affects almost 0 enemies. And for PvP players, you can definitely make this work, as the cloud gives off 20 Deathblight buildup per tick. But it is unaffected by the Prince of Death's staff, so don't expect any increased buildup. With the champion slain, we can rest at the nearby Prince of Death's throne Site of Grace and buckle down for the home stretch. Speaking with Fia, we'll tell her we came to be held and progress her questline, collecting the second holobrand she requests, and going through all of her dialogue options and reloading until she lays with Godwyn. Once you enter the Deathbed Dream, defeat Lich Dragon Fortisax, and claim the Mending Rune of the Death Prince from completing her questline, these quests can finally be completed. Reloading the area after looting the Mending Rune, we'll have D, Beholder of Death, gloating proud, with a bloody sword raised over Fia's lifeless body. After finishing his borderline mad rant, we can speak with him to hear the murderous glee personally. Strangely enough, however, he finishes by saying the same line his brother did at our first meeting in Limgrave to the corpse, insinuating that honey rays of gold would guide him soon. Reloading the area, we can finish up and be rewarded for all of our hard work by looting the Inseparable Sword and the twinned set from where D, Beholder of Death, was standing. As for the Inseparable Sword, it will require 18 strength, 18 dexterity, and 20 faith to wield. Having fantastic faith scaling, this also comes with a semi-unique two-handed moveset, shared only with the Banished Knight's Greatsword and the Knight's Greatsword. The light attack moveset features a flowing and readied series of swings, and the running heavy attack executes a hard-hitting spinning slash. This weapon also passively deals 20% increased damage against those who live in death, and prevents the revival of skeletons slain by it, allowing you to breeze through catacombs and graveyards. As for the weapon's skill, it's locked to Sacred Blade, which will cost 19 FP to slash a holy projectile towards an enemy. This will also coat your weapon with a 40-second buff, granting 90 holy damage to the armament. The projectile doesn't have a very far range, but it is a welcome tool to boost the range of a greatsword, and if it hits an undead foe, they do take double damage from it. Given the utility against those who live in death and the high faith scaling, this very well may be the best holy damage dealing greatsword in the game, and it's definitely worthy of being a quest's final reward. And with that, we've ensured the Golden Order was unsullied, slain a rotten witch, and D's story has come full circle through his twin brother. I hope this has helped you navigate this quest, and if it has, please leave a like or a comment. And be sure to subscribe and click that bell so you can be notified of all my upcoming Elden Ring videos. As always, I'm StoneBear13, and thank you for watching.